Happy Tuesday! My name's Nick.
My name is Alan.
And welcome
Into the dungeon.
Well, safe journey to Funderling, my arse. Wait till your parents hear of all the tribulations we have been through. But you are right, your family is now bigger. You have an orc as a stepbrother. Who could have seen that coming?
Aye, and a couple of dwarven uncles. Don't forget about us, Shrew. And I'm grateful to have you all in my life. Well, that's my tale. What about you, Favian? How did you meet Shrew? Why did you come to Funderling?
Yes, Favian, tell them all how we met. I'm sure they'll love the story. But I'd be a bit skeptical of how he tells it.
Alright, Fenna. I'll go next. But first, Shrew. Surely it's my turn for a good bath.
Well, it's surely only been a couple of minutes.
You must be as shrinkled as a prune by now, Shrew.
Oh, yes. Turn away, I'll get out now.
Well, it's nothing I haven't seen before, after all. Last time we shared a bath together.
Yeah, you might be right, but... And I kind of start getting up and look down. You are right. I'm quite shriveled up. I'd rather you look away. It's not my greatest of moments.
While Shrew's coming out of the bath, Fabian calls the attention of some gnomes who come and diligently change the water.
I grab a towel and wrap it around my waist and sit down on a chair close by.
Fabian softly lowers himself into the bath. Oh, this feels good. I guess I'll start where I began on this path that led me to you, my new family, as Shrew and Fenna were saying. In the quaint town of Daggerford, the air is filled with the scent of freshly tanned leather, and the soft murmur of the Delimber River flows in harmony with the bustling daily life. There stands a modest building, made of weathered timber. A cobbler's shop, named Stout Souls. Its door is adorned with a hanging brass bell that announces the arrival of anyone who steps inside. Above the shop, a cosy dwelling serves as the home of Favian and his father, the master cobbler, Drummond Stout. As dawn paints the sky in hues of rose and gold, Favian finds himself meandering through the narrow streets of Daggerford. The air is crisp, and the awakening town seems to hum with the promise of another day. Favian, however, is oblivious to the world around him, lost in his own thoughts as he marvels at the play of sunlight filtering through the ancient trees. Drummond Stout, a sturdy man with greying hair and calloused hands that bear marks of years spent crafting shoes for the townsfolk, is already at work in his cobbler shop. The fragrance of leather envelops Drummond's shop like a warm embrace, in a symphony that intertwines with the rhythmic tip-tap of a hammer against anvil. Shelves are adorned with an array of boots and shoes in various stages of completion, and rolls of leather are neatly stacked against the walls. As the hammer strikes the anvil with measured precision, the metallic resonance reverberates through the shop, creating a soothing cadence. The tip-tap of the hammer against the anvil becomes a meditative rhythm, grounding the space in a sense of purpose and dedication. Fabian strolls into the shop, his gaze wandering over the intricate craftsmanship that adorns the walls. His father glances up from the workbench, his eyes narrowing at the sight of his distracted son. Drummond wipes his hands on a worn apron, setting aside a half-inch boot.
Favian, my boy.
He begins, his voice a deep timbre that resonates with authority, and a tinge of weary frustration.
You make it clear that Stout Souls is not your calling, but how many times must I tell you that the path of the God requires focus and discipline? This is not a game, Favian. Daggerford relies on its protectors, and your training is no small matter.
Fabian's response is nonchalant, his gaze still drifting to the small window where sunlight dances through the motes of dust. I know, Father, but there's so much more to life than focus and discipline. There are adventures waiting beyond these walls. I'm not so sure I want to be tethered to a guard's post forever. Drummond lets out a heavy sigh, his shoulders slumping with the weight of parental concern.
Your mother would have wanted you to honor our family, Favian. She believed you could do anything you set your mind to. But you've become a dreamer, lost in the clouds.
A flicker of pain crosses Favian's eyes as he recalls how his mother succumbed to a fever when he was but a young boy. In the dying embers of a fading afternoon, the small room above Stout Souls is filled with a heavy silence, punctuated only by the laboured breaths of a woman laying on a makeshift bed. The room is dimly lit, the flickering flame of a single candle casting dancing shadows upon the walls. The scent of herbal remedies and the undeniable presence of impending loss intermingle. They create an atmosphere that oscillates between despair and a quiet acceptance of the inevitable. Favian's mother, Celira, lies pallid and fragile, her once vibrant eyes dulled by the merciless grip of fever. Drummond's face is etched with lines of worry as he sits by Celira's bedside. He's holding her frail hand in his callous grip. The air is thick with sorrow as the weight of impending loss hangs heavy in the room. Favian, a young boy with innocence still reflected in his tear-filled eyes, stands at the foot of the bed, unable to comprehend the imminent farewell that looms before him. Celira musters a weak smile, a voice but a mere whisper as she addresses her beloved son and husband. "Favian, my sweet boy," she begins, her words carrying a poignant melody that resonates with both love and sorrow. "Come closer. Let me see your face." Favian approaches, his heart heavy with the impending farewell that lingers in the air. His mother's fingers gently trace the contours of Favian's face. "You have your father's eyes, and your mother's spirit," she murmurs, her touch a fragile caress. Drummond watches, his eyes glistening with unshed tears, which reflect a profound sorrow that words struggle to convey. Celira turns his attention to him. "Drummond, my love," she whispers, her gaze locking into his with a deep and abiding affection. "We've shared a life woven with threads of both joy and trials. As the weaver of fate prepares to cut the final strand, I want you to know that my love for you transcends this mortal plane. I will forever be with you." Favian's father, holding back the tears, presses a kiss to his wife's hand and whispers a silent farewell.
I curse the gods and the fever that grips you. But at the same time, I give them thanks for being able to live my life beside you. All these years, all these memories we've created, my love, I will never forget them. You will always be with me.
Favian, though young, senses the gravity of the moment. His mother turns her gaze towards him again, a wellspring of love and wisdom reflected in her weary eyes. "My dear son," she whispers, her voice a bittersweet lullaby. "Life's journey may take unexpected turns, but always remember that my love will be your guiding star." As the words hang in the air, silent understanding passes between mother and son. Her features softened by the weariness of illness, manages a tender smile as she looks upon the two most important men in her life. "Live a life filled with purpose and kindness," she implores, her voice a fragile yet unwavering plea. "Carry our love as a lantern. Let it illuminate the darkest paths. And know that wherever you are, peace of my heart will reside with each of you." The room, charged with emotion, becomes a sacred space, where the veil between realms seems to thin. Drummond's eyes are moist with unshed tears as he leans in to kiss his wife's forehead. Tears spill down Favian's cheeks, unable to find words to express the emotions within him. Drummond pulls Favian in for a strong embrace. Celira's hand trembles as she reaches for his face once more, gently brushing away his tears. As the candle's flame flickers, casting shadows that dance in mournful harmony, Celira takes a final, shuddering breath. The room is enveloped in a somber stillness, broken only by the stifled sobs of her father and son. The wound, though old, still aches in his heart, as his voice momentarily breaks. "I can't find purpose in patrolling the streets, the same streets every day. There has to be more than this, father." Drummond rises from his cobbler's stool, his eyes locking onto Favian's with resolve.
Your training is nearing its end, son. The guards of Daggerford play a vital role in keeping our town safe. The people will rely on you, and it's time you learned the honor in that.
Favian shifts uncomfortably, his fingers idly tracing patterns on the worn wooden countertop. I just don't see why I must conform to these traditions, Father. There's an entire world out there, full of mystery and excitement. I want to explore, to experience life beyond these cobblestone streets. Drummond's gaze softens with a mixture of understanding and weariness.
I'm not asking you to abandon your dreams, Favian. But the dreams of youth must be tempered with responsibilities of adulthood. Soon you'll be a man, and you must choose your path and learn to provide for yourself.
The cobbler's shop seems to hold its breath, the air heavy with unspoken tension, as Favian's mind again wanders. Oh, Favian, I didn't know. I'm so sorry to hear of your mother. It's a shame you weren't around back then, Fenna. She sure could have used some of your magic. But anyway, it was a long time ago now, and a piece of her heart is always with me.
Shrew is sitting down, his eyes fixated on the wooden floor under him. He has a vacant expression on his eyes and doesn't really add anything else to the conversation. Just keeps on listening to Favian's story. When the story began, he was thinking of something witty to say in relation to Favian's kind of airheadedness behavior and his carefree way of life, but the turn of events has shook him to his core.
Not long after, the day of my final test to graduate as guard came around. As the golden sun rises, casting its warm embrace upon the cobbled streets, the town awakens to a day of significance. The west of the community lies the drill fields, where Favian Stout is to undergo his final test to join the esteemed ranks of the town's guardians at Ducal Castle. Yet as the morning sun bathes the town in its gentle glow, Favian is with his friends Alarion and Aura, venturing into the woods that embrace Daggerford, as the trio seek adventure beyond the familiar cobblestone streets. Alarion, his elven companion, moves with an ethereal grace, his silver hair catching the sunlight like strands of moonlight. His keen eyes tinge with a perpetual spark of mischief, survey the surrounding wilderness. Aura, an athletic human, marches forward with unmistakable determination, her golden blonde hair a beacon of vigor amid the greenery, as a sturdy frame carries the promise of unwavering resilience, ready for whatever challenges the wood may present. "Favian!" Alarion calls. "What troubles your mind on such a fine day? The woods beckon with mysteries waiting to be unravelled." Favian, distracted and preoccupied, absent-mindedly responds, "You know I hate it when you call me that, Alarion. But there's something liberating about these woods, isn't there?" Aura chuckles, a hearty laugh echoing through the trees.
Well said, lad. Let's not stand around like statues. Adventure awaits. And I've a mind to uncover its secrets.
As the trio delves deeper into the woods, the drill fields, Ducal Castle, and the impending test fade into a distant recess of Favian's mind. The rustle of leaves, the song of birds, and the earthy scent of the forest become the backdrop to their impromptu adventure. Alarion leads the way, his keen senses guiding the group through the labyrinth of trees and underbrush. "Let's explore, my friends. Who knows and wonders what these woods conceal?" Unbeknownst to Favian, the drill field's bell carries for the distance, announcing the commencement of the final test. Favian, entranced by the dappled sunlight filtering through the foliage, allows himself to be swept away by the allure of the unknown. He marvels at the play of shadows and light, momentarily forgetting the duty that calls him back to Daggerford. Aura's eyes gleam with excitement as she points to a winding path veiled by vines and ferns.
Let's follow this trail, lads. It's a whisper of adventure in the wind. And I've a nose for finding hidden treasures.
Navigating the uneven terrain, the trio cross babbling brooks and moss-covered stones. The crystal clear water sparkles under the dappled sunlight. Nora can't resist dipping a hand in, reveling at the cool touch of nature. As they traverse deeper into the woods, mysterious creature whose fur blends seamlessly with the foliage catches their attention. The creature, more curious and fearful, scurries away at their approach, leaving behind a sense of wonder and sparking conversations about the hidden inhabitants of the forest. The sun arcs across the sky, casting a warm glow upon the adventurers. Favian, engrossed in the wonders of the woods, remains blissfully unaware of the pivotal moment that is slipping away from him. The trio now are retracing their steps, guided by the sunlight which filters through the trees, and as they emerge from the woods, the distant echoes of the town bell and crier reach them, announcing the end of the test of the drill fields. Favian's gaze shifts from the enchanting woods to the familiar sight of Daggerford's rooftops. The realization dawns upon him, and a knot tightens in his stomach. The final test, the pivotal moment he has prepared so long for, has slipped through his fingers. The townsfolk gathered at the drill fields disperse and begin to move towards the grounds of Ducal Castle, where the passing out ceremony will be held. Drummond awaits near Stout Souls, his expression a blend of concern and disappointment. As the trio approaches, Alarion speaks on behalf of his friend. "We got lost in the woods of wonder, Drummond. The call of adventure proved too strong, and the test of the drill fields slipped away from Favian's mind. It's our fault. We asked him to join us." Drummond sighs, a mixture of frustration and parental concern etched on his weathered face.
The path of duty is not easy, my son. Let this be a lesson in the weight of responsibilities. Let us speak inside.
My father gave me quite the bollocking that evening. Although, it does pale in comparison to the one Shrew gave me for saving his life from that undead horse, Barbara.
As soon as Shrew hears that, his eyes snap towards Favian, awoken from his semi-trance.
Barbara, I'll have you know her name was Betsy. And damn well you got a bollocking from me. You took Betsy away from me for a second time.
Yes, I remember you were going to gallop down the Sword Coast with the
Yes.
the wind in your hair.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Barbara, Betsy.
Betsy. Respect her name.
Anyway, I'll never forget the look of disappointment on my father's face, amplified no doubt by the fact he had closed the shop to proudly see me graduate. That evening I went to drown my sorrows, and I met a stranger who promised adventure and gold, which ended up setting me on the path to meeting you all. The evening descends upon Daggerford like a heavy cloak, and the Happy Cow Tavern, a haven for those seeking solace or revelry, comes alive with the flickering light of oil lamps and the murmur of conversation. Favian, burdened by the weight of missed opportunities, seeks refuge in the warmth of the tavern, where the air is thick with the aroma of hearty stews and the strains of lively music. The tavern's time-worn wooden door swings open, and a figure steps into the dimly lit space. This person bears an air of purpose and resilience as he scans the room with a keen gaze. A hood and cloak conceals much of his features, leaving only the glint of determined eyes visible. As he approaches the bar, a glimpse of elven grace becomes apparent in the way he moves. A fluidity that speaks of both ageless wisdom and a questing spirit. As he approaches the bar, he exchanges nods with the tavern keeper, a portly man with a grizzled beard, before turning his gaze to the room, scanning the patrons there with purpose. In a quiet corner of the Happy Cow Tavern, the elf has caught the eye of Favian as he nurses his sorrows in a tankard of ale, his thoughts swirling like the turbulent currents of a hidden river. The flickering candle on his table casts dancing shadows upon his face, accentuating the lines of weariness etched by the day's missed opportunities. The elf, having made eye contact with Favian, approaches with a subtle grace that belies his purpose. He pulls back his hood, revealing the ageless countenance of an elf, and offers a nod of acknowledgement.
Favian Stout? Name whispered in the winds of Daggerford this evening. A man distracted by what he seeks beyond these walls.
Favian's hazel eyes meets the piercing gaze of the elven envoy. He straightens in his seat, curiosity replacing the melancholy that had consumed him earlier. "Who are you?" he inquires, his voice tinged with a mixture of wariness and intrigue.
I am Lorian Shadowsong,
the elf replies, pulling out a chair opposite Favian and taking a seat.
I come with an offer, one that extends beyond the familiar confines of this town. There are endeavors beyond these walls that call for hearts bold enough to answer.
Favian raises an eyebrow, intrigued by the enigmatic aura that surrounds Lorien. What sort of offer? He asks, his interest piqued by the promise of something beyond the routine of guard duty. Lorien leans in, his eyes locking onto Favian's with a quiet intensity.
Leylon,
He says, his voice carrying the weight of history and the promise of the unknown.
the high tower of Falivar has fallen, and the ruins of Leylon are being restored and repopulated. It is a place ripe with opportunity and adventure, but it bears the lingering threat of orc, goblin, and bugbear raids.
Favian listens, the name Leylon resonating in the depths of his consciousness like a distant echo. The tavern's lively atmosphere fades into the background as Lorien unfolds a tale of a town in need, a town on the cusp of rebirth, yet haunted by the spectre of peril. Lorien continues.
I seek guards to escort a group of labourers and craftsmen. The journey promises adventure, for the road is fraught with dangers, but the reward is both coin and the chance to be part of a town's resurgence. From what I hear, it seems you may be looking for a new path, and perhaps adventure.
Favian, drawn in by the allure of distant lands and the prospect of a different life, considers Lorien's words. Why would you be offering this opportunity? He asks, his gaze probing.
Simply put, I need some muscle, Favian Stout. And given today's events, it would appear that I have a Daggerford guard in all but name before me.
Lorien replies.
Leylon seeks guardians, and you, with a spirit of adventure that lingers in your eyes, might find purpose beyond these small and walled confines.
Subtle silence envelops the table, whilst Favian contemplates the offer. The pull of the unknown tugging at his very core. Leylon, a town on the brink of resurgence, beckons with the promise of a fresh start. Lorien gestures towards a parchment, neatly laid out on the table, which bears the insignia of Leylon, symbol of hope amidst the ruins.
Should you choose to embark on this journey, sign your name here. Join those who seek to rebuild and rediscover the strength within the remnants of Falivar's high tower.
Favian reaches for the quill, the decision weighing heavy on his heart. As his hand hovers over the parchment, he contemplates the choice before him, whilst the Happy Cow Tavern continues in its lively symphony, oblivious to the pivotal moment transpiring at the small corner table. And so with a determined stroke, Favian signs his name. A signature that marks not only a journey to Leylon, but a departure from the familiar, an embrace of the unknown, and the promise of a new chapter awaiting beyond the walls of Daggerford. The next dawn I prepared a bag with some essentials. I left before my father woke. I couldn't bear to see his disappointed face again. I just left him a note explaining that I couldn't remain in Daggerford any longer, especially after missing out on my graduation. The world of adventure awaited beyond those walls. Now I was to go in search of it.
Favian. I'm sure your father would be proud of you now, after all you've accomplished. But back then you were a bit of a dimwit. You wanted to leave your hometown because you didn't want to be a guard, yet you signed up for guard duties.
The irony is not lost on me. But there was more excitement in Leylon than Daggerford. I was more bodyguard than a town guard.
Excitement in Leylon, yes, I can agree to that.
I left in search of adventure, and I think it's safe to say we found quite a bit.
You're right there too, my friend.
Shrew, let Favian finish his tale.
Yes. Of course, Favian, do go on.
Not you, I'm starting to regret that part of the story. The trip to Leylon was one of many firsts, including my one and only time upon a ship. I'll be damned if I get on one again. As dawn stretches its golden fingers over Daggerford, the Delimber River sparkles in the first light of day, a ribbon of silver winding its way through the town. Favian is making his way towards the docks where a small boat awaits that would ferry him to the ship that would carry him towards Leylon. At the river's edge, the boat bobs delicately on the gentle ripples, its weathered wood bearing the scars of countless journeys down the Delimber. Lorien's shadow song stands beside it, his elven presence a calming force amidst the bustle of the docks. Favian approaches, his gaze meeting Lorien's with a shared understanding of the journey ahead. The elf offers a nod of acknowledgement, and without the need for words, they embark on the boat together, with the river current eagerly embracing the vessel as it sets adrift. The waterways of the Delimber at Daggerford are shallow, and the boat glides downstream, carried by the gentle flow. The morning sun still low in the sky casts a warm glow on the riverbanks, where fishermen ready their nets, and locals engage in the rituals of a town waking to life. As they journey downstream, Favian is perched at the boat's edge, and he watches as Daggerford's silhouette fades into the distance, the familiar towers and walls retreating like memories left behind. The small boat reaches a point in the river where it widens. On the horizon emerges the silhouette of a sailing ship, a vessel with billowing sails that catch the morning breeze. The promise of Leylong materializes in the form of this grand ship, its mast reaching towards the heavens like the fingers of a celestial giant. As the boat nears the ship, the air becomes infused with a heady sense of salt water and the cacophony of seagulls, heralds of the open sea. The ship, a majestic creation of wood and canvas, sways gently with the ebb and flow of the tide, delicate dance that beckons Favian into its embrace. The crew is a diverse assortment of sailors with weathered faces and hands that bear calluses of countless voyages, and who busy themselves with the preparations for departure. Ropes creak and canvas flutters as the ship readies to cast off its moorings. Lorien, stepping onto the ship with a grace that echoes the fluidity of the river, gestures for Favian to follow. The deck, a sprawling expanse of polished wood, offers a view that stretches beyond the horizon. The captain of the ship is a weather-beaten figure, with a salt and pepper beard that dances in the wind. He stands near the helm. Captain Ellender Stormwind, a seasoned mariner with a keen eye that has navigated the treacherous waters of the Sword Coast, greets Lorien with a firm handshake, before turning his attention to the recruits.
Favian Stout!
Captain Stormwind booms, his voice carrying the authority of one accustomed to command.
Welcome aboard the Sea Serpent. We sail for Leyland, and I trust you're prepared for the journey that awaits.
Favian, standing tall, meets the captain's gaze with a nod. I'm ready, Captain. The promise of adventure and purpose beckons.
Ha ha! Ready, you say? Well, we'll let the sea decide.
The ship, alive with the vibrant energy of anticipation, creaks and groans as the crew unfurls its sails, and the sea serpent catches the wind, gliding into the open sea with the grace of a creature returning to its natural habitat. The sights and sounds of the journey become a sensory symphony, the distant cries of seagulls, the rhythmic lapping of the waves against the hull, and the panoramic expanse of the sea stretching to the horizon. The ship, a vessel of dreams and destinies, becomes a sanctuary for those seeking purpose beyond the known. Captain Stormwind guides Favian to the helm, where a stern-faced figure clad in the regalia of the ship's guard awaits. Captain Anara Ironhard, dwarven warrior with eyes that gleam like polished sapphires, extends a gauntleted hand in greeting.
Favian Stout?
She says, her voice firm and resolute.
You'll be answering to me during this voyage, Dumpling. The Sea Serpent may be a ship of dreams, but discipline is the anchor that keeps us tethered to reality.
Favian, sensing the unyielding spirit beneath Captain Ironhard's exterior, accepts the handshake with a nod of acknowledgement. The Sea Serpent, now a speck against the vast canvas of the open sea, sails towards Leylong, an ancient town on the verge of renewal, destination that beckons with the promise of adventure. Favian stands at the helm with the sea breeze tussling his hair as he gazes towards the horizon. The Sea Serpent sails the open expanse of the Sword Coast, its billowing sails harnessing the unpredictable winds that sweep across the vast canvas of the sea. Favian is still adjusting to the rhythmic undulation of the ship beneath his feet as he struggles to find his sea legs. The rocking motion of the ship plays havoc with his senses, and the uneasy churn in his stomach becomes a constant companion, unlike the seasoned sailors who are familiar with the dance of the waves, and who move with practiced ease, with their footsteps harmonizing with the natural rhythm of the Sea Serpent. Captain Anara Ironhard, observing Favian's pale countenance, offers a reassuring nod.
Seasickness is a rite of passage for every first-time sailor. Fear not, Dumpling. find your sea legs soon enough. And if you don't, I'll find them for you.
Thank you, Captain. Favian musters a weak smile. His focus is on the distant horizon as if the stability of solid ground lies just beyond the reach of his gaze. However, the gentle words offer little comfort against the relentless sway of the ship. The days at sea unfold like chapters in an unending tome for Favian, who continues to struggle with his sea legs. The sea serpent has been fighting against tempestuous storms for much of this journey. On a calm and serene day, Favian is finally adapting to the ebb and flow of life at sea, as he begins to appreciate the unpredictable beauty of the ocean. Yet the tranquility of the journey is shattered when the lookout atop the mast shouts out a warning. "Moss ahoy!" Silhouettes appear on the horizon, swift and menacing, as pirate ships cutting through the waters approach with predatory intent. Panic grips the ship, and Captain Ellender Stormwind issues swift orders, the urgency in his voice cutting through the tumult of the crew's response.
Ship abast! All hands on deck!
The Sea Serpent, until now a vessel of dreams, transforms rapidly into a bastion of defense. Guards, including Favian, are hastily equipped and positioned along the railings, their eyes scanning the approaching threat. Captain Anara Ironhard, her gaze steely and resolute, stands at the forefront, commanding the guards to brace for the impending clash.
Prepare to be boarded, little dumplings. Ready your steel. Bearing for a good one.
The pirate ships draw nearer, the black sails billowing like ominous clouds. Grizzled faces adorned with wicked grins appear on the decks, and the glint of cutlasses and the swish of arrows and bolts catch the sunlight. Favian feels a knot tightening in his stomach as he grips the hilt of his sword, the weight of responsibility heavier than the weapon in his inexperienced hand. The clash is inevitable, and as the pirate ships close in, chaos erupts on the Sea Serpent. The guards, led by Captain Ironhard, meet the invaders with ferocity. Swords clash, and arrows darken the sky. Favian is thrust into the heart of the fray as he confronts the harsh reality of combat. The clash is a fierce and chaotic dance where life and death hang in the balance. Favian, grateful that at least today the waters are calm, is driven by instinct and guided by the training he'd received in Daggerford. He soon finds himself locked in combat with a pirate. The clang of steel against steel reverberates in Favian's ears as he parries the pirate's attacks. The taste of salt on his lips is replaced by the metallic tang of fear and adrenaline. In the intensity of the moment, Favian's training becomes a visceral experience, the line between life and death blurring with each swing of the sword. In a desperate lunge, Favian's blade finds its mark. The pirate's eyes widen in shock as he crumples to the deck. The weight of a first life taken settles on Favian's shoulders like a leaden shroud. As the clash subsides, the surviving pirates, their ranks broken and the resolve shattered, retreat into the embrace of the open sea. The Sea Serpent, battered but defiant, stands victorious against the marauders who sought to plunder its bounty. In the aftermath, Favian's breaths are laboured and his hands trembling. He stares at the lifeless body on the deck. The pirate, once his adversary, now lies motionless, testament to the cost of survival on these unpredictable seas. Captain Anara Ironhard approaches Favian.
Welcome to the reality of the sea, dumpling. Each journey carries a burden of choices, and sometimes those choices demand more than we anticipate, particularly when they stand between life and death.
I've trained for years, but this is the first real combat I've had. First life I've taken. Favian, unable to tear his gaze away from the life he has extinguished, grapples with the realization that the adventure he sought comes at a cost. Days pass and the Sea Serpent sails for calmer waters, as the crew tends to the wounds inflicted by the skirmish, before Leyland comes into view on the distant horizon. The town, rising from the ruins of Thalivar's high tower, stands as a symbol of resilience and determination. The Sea Serpent, with its sails billowing triumphantly, approaches the harbour, carrying Favian's stout and the promise of adventure. After that trip, I decided that I was never going to get on a ship again in my life. I decided to stay at Leyland, and Shrew pointed out before, somewhat ironically ending up as a guard. albeit a private one. It's the only way I could make out a living. And that's when I first met Shrew. We didn't really speak much, to be honest, other than the odd greeting when we coincided on a site. It was always a bit spacey, you know. Always zoning in and out, daydreaming.
No. And while I wasn't daydreaming, per se, that is more something that you would do, according to your story here. And there were visions that plagued me, Favian.
Visions, daydreaming. There's one time he was hoisting up a load of bricks when he just froze, left his pallet suspended in midair. Once he drifted away, it began to teeter perilously as the wooden scaffold groaned under the strain. Before anyone could get to him, a section of the scaffold gave way. His pallet plummeted earthward in a chaotic descent. The wooden scaffold fractured, collapsed in disarray. Shrew was lost in a trance and unaware of the chaos that unfurled beneath him. The construction site erupted into pandemonium, bricks scattered like leaves in the wind. The once sturdy scaffold shattered on the ground. Last I saw of him before Phandalin was him being dragged away by the guards. Facts, heard you'd been kicked out of town.
Well, you were there that fateful day then. Yes, shortly after that I was paraded in front of Griselda. I'm sure you remember her, and I was unceremoniously kicked out of Lylon. I hope you didn't have a hand in escorting me to Griselda herself. I was a bit out of sorts during that time, I can't remember, but I recall quite a few guards taking me to her.
No, I wasn't involved. It was a private guard, remember?
Yes.
I heard they left you pretty much in the nude. Felt I'd missed out, but, have shared a bath with you now.
Yes, you are right. It's not my finest moment. But now that you bring it up, I've been meaning to ask you for some time, but to be honest, I'm afraid to know the answer. But it's something I must know, and we might not be alive in a few days after we encounter the dragon. When that accident happened, when the pallet, as you say, fell from the pulley I was hoisted up, it hit my friend on the way down. I remember waking up and seeing him sprawled across the floor, seemingly broken, covered by bricks and debris. Do you know of his fate?
In part. You'd be glad to know your friend made it from that day.
Oh, what a burden you have lifted from my shoulders, Favian. I've been plagued with guilt ever since that day. I didn't want to bring it out sooner because, as I said, I feared for the answer. I feared he had died. After that fall, of course he had died. But he's alive, you say, alive and well.
Well, I don't know if he's alive and well today.
Well,
he wasn't in great shape, as you can imagine.
Well, I didn't kill him, at least.
No. He made it, but not long after that. He just disappeared into thin air one day.
Really?
No one knows where he went.
Oh, no. Hopefully one day I will cross paths with him again.
Anyway, I feel I've been chewing your ears for too long now, with a tale that's not particularly interesting. To cut a long story short, after about 2 years, I had to get out of Lylon. Although there was the occasional raid to defend against, and the odd escorting job, I ended up living a life too similar to the one I left behind in Daggerford. I needed real adventure. I couldn't resist when I heard there was trouble with monsters in Phandalin. Don't worry about it, mate, you can say orcs. There'll be plenty of raiding when I tell my story. Well, so here I am. And well, there's definitely been enough adventure here in the last few weeks to last a lifetime, wouldn't you say? Who's next then? How about you, Shrew? I'm interested to hear why they kicked you out of Lylon. And your adventures that brought you to Phandalin.
Yes, well, quite a tale, especially when I met Cinemas.
And that's why we're going to call it a session. We hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode as much as we have enjoyed recording it. It's been quite an experience for us to delve into Favian's past this week and Fenner's the week before.
Yes, it's been quite different, because normally we record these sessions when one of us is missing to kind of fill in the gap for the other person that's missed, like we did it with Shrew's backstory We did it with the one of the Thundercliffs, with the cult, that cult thing.
Yeah, the attack on Phandalin as well.
Yeah, that I haven't heard. But that's kind of when one of us is absent for any particular reason, usually it's because of illness, then we have had to cover with one of these types of episodes. But this we've done deliberately to give more depth to the characters, especially as we are ramping up to the end of the campaign and to possibly a life or death fight. So we thought we'd give you more insight in our main characters. But it's not normally how we record when we're in person, so it's been a bit weird because it's more scripted. Usually it's all live play and more improvisation. But this is more of a scripted thing. But it's been quite fun to do as well.
Yeah, there's been some improv and ad-libbing as well. You really cracked me up with those dumplings. I can see now there's going to be quite a few jokes at Fabian's expense.
Yeah, the dumpling. Obviously, we're here, we bounce ideas of each other and then, come up in the spur of the moment things. So yeah, there has been some ad-libbing, some improvisation. But it's a different way of doing things and it's quite enjoyable as well.
Indeed it has. Next week we continue with our characters' backstories. But if you can't wait a whole other week for some more Into the Dungeon, why not visit our website www.i2td.com. You can follow the links there to our Buy Me a Coffee page, where by joining one of our membership tiers, you can gain access to a little smorgasbord of little bite-sized episodes for your delight.
Whilst you are there, you will also find our shop where we have certain items and you can also donate potions, and that will help us grow as a podcast and obviously would help our campaign as those items donated will be part of the story and will appear in the game and making you also part of the story we tell.
And if you can't donate or don't wish to, but still want to help the podcast, you can certainly do so by liking episodes, leaving us a review, sharing, subscribing, leaving comments on tweets, and perhaps also joining our Discord channel as well. Getting the good name of I2TD out there in the world.
Yeah, that's right. And I think this now leads us on nicely to
the end of the episode club.
Last One Standing, where we give you a password which you then use in a comment section, wittedly, funnily, whatever you prefer. And then we go over them and decide who wins and who becomes El Guido Mas Brother. You get the title in Discord, so obviously you get more perks if you do join our Discord. And there we also add your command or prosperity. So, do you have a password for us, Nick?
Well, I do. Today's password is wonton more.
Wonton more.
It's a kind of dumpling.
Yeah. A wonton, yeah.
And we'll be wanting more of these backstory episodes.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. So how do you have to spell it, just to clarify?
WONTON.
Wonton more.
Wonton more. That's today's password. I will look forward to reading your submissions.
Thank you very much, and thanks for listening yet again. Thanks for being here. We hope to catch you next time as we delve into the dungeon.